Welcome to this week's Chinuch Hashkafa message. It's Parshas Kisovoi, and it's also Shabbos Lichas. So today I'm not going to focus so much on the Parsha. I wanted to focus on Elul and the preparation for Rosh Hashanah. First by sharing a vort, which is just a nice vort that you can share with your children, and a pathway into discussing Elul in general. But I want to focus today more on a parenting sort of approach as we bring our children along the journey of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. So we know Elul has many Roshei Tevis, the famous ones, Anilav Doidiv Doidi Li, Ishler Eyo Matanis Lev Yonim, and so on and so on. But it also says in Sfarim an interesting little word that Elul is a Roshei Tevis, Oroin, Luchais, Veshivrei Luchais. The Oroin which contained the Luchais, the whole Luchais, the second Luchais, Veshivrei Luchais, and the broken pieces of the Luchais, from the first Luchais. And they were both housed in the Oroin, according to what the Gemara tells us. So therefore it makes up Oroin, Luchais, Veshivrei Luchais is Elul. What's the idea? Why specifically Elul? So we know, of course, that the emphasis of Elul is the concept of tshuva. Tshuva comes together with this idea of Leiv Nishbar, a broken heart, where we take responsibility for what we've done. And this is an interesting hashkafic concept to discuss with children as well. What does that mean? That sometimes when we do something wrong, we do need to take responsibility. Hashem wants us to tshuva, He forgives us. But we still need to feel sometimes a little bit uncomfortable about the things that we've done wrong and do a cheshbon and do tshuva and so on and so forth. So that's represented by the Shivrei Luchais. But at the same time, Elul, of course, has to do with Torah. We know that Yom Kippur, which is the 40th day of the whole journey from Rosh Chodesh Elul to Yom Kippur, is about the giving of the Luchais Shniyos, the second Luchais, which is all about Torah. Because it's not enough just to do tshuva, we have to internalize the tshuva, we have to maintain the tshuva. And how we solidify and strengthen the connection that we have with Hashem is the concept of limud haTorah, of learning. Learning before the Yontif comes, learning b'chalal, learning all the time, because learning connects us with Hashem in an internal way, in a pneumistic way. When we learn, we internalize the hashkafa, the values of Torah, the way Hashem looks at things. We internalize our bond with Hashem. As we know, the Zohar tells us that Torah and Hashem are one, and therefore when we learn and internalize the Torah, we become one with Hashem. So therefore, tshuva must go together with Torah, and therefore during this time of the year, Elul and Yom Kippur and so on, the two themes have to go hand in hand together. The idea of tshuva, but also the idea of Torah, the luchais and the broken luchais, all together in the one orin. That's just a verb, but I wanted to focus today more on this idea that Elul, and we have one more week now, till a week and a bit till Rosh Hashanah, and Elul is where the concept of hachana, of preparation, becomes emphasized. We know that the hachana, the preparation we make for a mitzvah, is critically important. The mitzvah, of course, is the most important part. We have to do a mitzvah, but we know there's a Hasidic vort that hechshe mitzvah is hechav ya mitzvah, that the preparation for a mitzvah is even higher than a mitzvah, because the preparation for a mitzvah is where we build a kesher with the mitzvah, build a relationship with the mitzvah, we get excited about the mitzvah. It's so important that as we go through the month of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Tishrei, filled with Yomim Tovim and Kedusha, we need to make sure that our children are with us on the journey, that they're excited about it, that they're immersed, that they're involved. And therefore, just as a parenting thing, I wanted to just share very briefly, I've done this much more by Arichos, but very briefly, just some few very, very important points. Number one is the concept of involvement. It's really important that as parents we involve our children, all the planning that goes from Tishrei. Even if a simple thing like making a shopping list to buy the simonim for the first night of Rosh Hashanah. Sit down with the younger children, ask them what we need. We need an apple, we need honey, we need a new fruit, we need a head of a fish, the dag, the rimon, etc. Involve them in buying lulav and esrog. Take them with, show them what you're choosing. Involve them in building the sukkah, involve them in putting on the schach. Don't just slap on a schach mat and that's it, and the sukkah is there. Take time, involve them, let them get involved in the whole process of all the mitzvahs. From now till Yontif, every night, if you're sitting down with them to eat even a regular meal, maybe sing a nigun to do with the Yontif. Tell a story, you can research stories, share a vort, get them into the mood, give them extra money each day for tzedakah. Build them up, build up the whole build up to the month of Tishrei. The second thing is the concept of planning what you want your children to do and how much you want them to daven and so on. Sit down with them, go through the machzor with them before Yontif. Ask them what they've learned at school. Depending on the age, talk to them about how long they're going to spend in shul. If you just wait for Rosh Hashanah day and you start giving instructions, there's going to be resistance. Talk to them before, make up when they're going to be in shul, how they're going to be in shul, what they're going to be there for, how important it is to daven nicely, they're going to sit next to you, or whatever the case is. Maybe give an incentive, maybe give them a challenge of how many prokim of Tilim they could say over Rosh Hashanah, and make up to give them something, and so on. Don't delegate these things to schools. Schools do a wonderful job, but parents have to do it themselves. The more planning we do, the more effective it is. So that's just my little message. Obviously, there's much to talk about, but just a short thing. This Shabbos is a good time to really drill it in. Talk about Elul, sing the Nigunim about Yontif, get them involved in the planning, plan ahead what you want them to do, and hopefully we'll all have a very meaningful Tishrei, and the Eibishter should bench us all with a ksiva v'achsima toiva, and everyone should have a good Shabbos.